Imagine waking up to a knock at your door, only to find two breathtaking aliens offering you a one-way ticket off this dying rock. Sounds like a dream, right? But here's the catch. Paradise has rules. Don't touch the red plants. Don't ask about the last guy who lived here. And whatever you do, don't go outside at night. Too bad Jake Mercer didn't listen. Now, trapped on a sentient planet that tests its guests, fatally, he's about to learn the hard way that Xanthus 5 doesn't give second chances. And the worst part? The planet isn't just watching, it's hungry. Please wait. Before we start, tap that iCard button in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button right now. Hit the notification bell so you're first in line when new stories land. All right, let's dive into the story. Jake Mercer wiped the engine grease from his hands with a rag that had seen better days, tossing it onto the cluttered workbench with a sigh. His tiny apartment above the garage was barely holding together, much like the beat-up cars he fixed for a living. The city outside was a mess, overcrowded, polluted, and loud as hell. Another night of sirens and shouting. Another night of wondering if this was all there was. Then his cracked smartphone buzzed. Not a call, not a text. The screen lit up on its own, projecting a holographic message into the air in bold, shimmering letters. Tired of Earth's nonsense? Relocate to Xanthus 5. Free house. 2 gorgeous alien roommates. No taxes. No wires. Just better. Jake stared. Okay, which one of you idiots hacked my phone? He glanced around his empty apartment like someone might pop out laughing. No one did. The message pulsed as if waiting. He snorted. Yeah, right. Free house. Alien babes. What's next? A unicorn that shits gold. A deep, melodic chuckle echoed from nowhere. No unicorns. But the alien babes part is real. Jake nearly jumped out of his skin. The hell? The wall in front of him rippled, like water disturbed by a stone. Then, with a soundless whoosh, a sleek silver pod materialized right in the middle of his living room, displacing his coffee table like it wasn't even there. Jake stumbled back. What in the actual? The pod's door slid open with a smooth hiss. Inside, the seats looked like they were molded from liquid chrome, soft but firm, glowing faintly in the dim light. A voice, smooth, feminine, and way too amused, spoke from within. Jake Mercer, last chance. You getting in? Or do we find someone with actual courage? Jake's pulse hammered. This had to be a prank, a hallucination. Maybe he'd inhaled too many exhaust fumes. But then he thought about his life. The grind, the noise, the fact that his best friend these days was a half-empty bottle of cheap whiskey. He smirked. Screw it. Stepping inside, he dropped into the seat, which molded around him like it was alive. The door sealed shut. The pod hummed, then silence. No sound, no movement, just stillness. Jake frowned. You gonna go somewhere, or the world outside the window blurred? Then shattered. Earth vanished in a streak of light. Jake's stomach lurched. Oh, you got to be kidding me. The voice chuckled again. Relax, tough guy. Breathe. It's only the end of your old life. And just like that, Jake Mercer was gone. The pod doors slid open with a whisper, revealing a sky painted in colors Jake had never seen. Deep violets swirling with molten gold, like a sunset turned inside out. His boots hit the ground, sinking slightly into silver grass that shimmered underfoot like crushed diamonds. Welcome to Xanthus 5, human. The voice was sharp, amused. Jake turned and froze. 2 women stood before him, both breathtaking, both wrong. The first had skin the color of a midnight ocean, glowing amber eyes, and a smirk that promised trouble. Her suit clung to every lethal curve, a dagger strapped to her thigh like an afterthought. The second was all elegance, pale lavender skin, silver hair cascading down her back, and a smile that made Jake's pulse stutter. Her suit shimmered like liquid metal, shifting with her movements. Jake blinked. Okay, either I died in that pod, or this is the weirdest dream ever. The blue one snorted. Dream? Please. If I was in your dreams, You'd never wake up. She extended a hand. Nix. The silver one rolled her eyes. Ignore her. She thinks intimidation is a greeting. Her voice was softer, melodic. Medita. Jake shook their hands cautiously. Nix's grip was firm, calloused. Lyra's fingers were cool, almost electric. So, Jake said, glancing around, where's the free house? And, no offense, why do you two come with it? Nix tossed him a small, crystalline key. It hummed in his palm. House is that way. As for us, she grinned, all teeth. Think of us as your welcoming committee. Lida Sigit. What she means is, we're here to help you settle in and enforce the rules. Jake pocketed the key. Rules? What rules? Nix counted on her fingers. 1. Don't wander at night. 2. Don't touch the red plants. 3. Never, ever ask about the previous tenant. Jake frowned. Previous tenant? What happened to? Lyra's hand clamped over his mouth. Her eyes darted to the tree-line. Don't. Say it. A low rustle came from the bushes. Something moved, fast, shadowy. Gone. Nix's dagger was in her hand before Jake could blink. See? You almost woke it up. Jake peeled Lyra's fingers away. Woke what up? Lyra's smile was tight. Nothing. Just follow the rules, Jake. For your sake. Nix sheathed her blade and clapped him on the back. Come on, hero. Let's get you home before you get eaten. Jake swallowed. Eaten? You're joking. Nix winked. Am I? The house loomed ahead, sleek, curved, like it had grown rather than been built. The door recognized the key, sliding open with a sigh. Inside, the air smelled like rain and something sweet. Lida gesturet grande. All yours. Jake stepped inside, then paused. Wait, if this place is so great, why is it empty? Why me? Nix and Lyra exchanged a glance. Lyra smoothed her hair. Let's just say you were chosen. Nix smirked. And don't worry, we'll be very close by. The door hissed shut behind them, leaving Jake alone in a house that felt just a little too alive. Outside, something screeched in the distance. Jake muttered, yeah, paradise my ass. The house was too quiet. Jake ran his fingers along the curved walls. They pulsed faintly under his touch, warm like living flesh. Okay, that's not creepy at all, he muttered, dropping his bag on the floating table that drifted obediently closer when he approached. A soft chime echoed through the room. Welcome, Resident Mercer, heard a disembodied voice. Would you like your habitat adjusted? Temperature, lighting, or perhaps companionship? Jake froze. No thanks. Pretty sure I've got enough companionship already. The walls shimmered in response. Something about it felt like laughter. He collapsed onto the self-forming couch, which molded instantly to his body. This is either the coolest place ever, or I'm about to be digested. A sharp knock at the door. Nix leaned against the frame when he opened it, arms crossed. You alive in here? Usually new meat starts screaming by now. Disappointed? Jake shot back. She smirked, pushing past him. Impressed, actually. Most humans lose their minds when the house starts talking to them. Lyra glided in behind her, carrying a tray of glowing blue fruit. We brought you dinner. Local cuisine. Try not to die from it. Jake poked one suspiciously. It vibrated. You're joking. Nick snatched one and took a huge bite, juice dripping down her chin. What's wrong, Earth Boy? Scared of a little fruit. Scared of poisoning myself. Jake grumbled but took a cautious bite. It tasted like lightning and honey, not entirely unpleasant. Lyra watched him with amusement. So, first thoughts on your new home? Jake glanced around. It's different. The house feels alive. The fruit tries to electrocute you, and I'm pretty sure something's watching me from the woods. Nix's grin faded. Yeah, about that. Don't go near the windows after dark. Why? What happens after? A bone-rattling screech cut him off, so loud the walls trembled. The lights flickered to a deep red as the house's voice whispered, "Perimeter alert. Defensive protocols engaged." Lyra was at the window in a flash, her fingers dancing over an invisible control panel. The glass frosted over instantly. It's just a prowler. Nothing to worry about. Jake's heart pounded. What the hell is a prowler? Nyx checked her dagger. Think hungry. Very, very hungry. Another screech, closer this time. Something heavy thumped against the outer wall. Lyra grabbed Jake's arm. Don't move. Don't breathe. The house lights dimmed to near darkness. For 3 terrifying seconds, there was only the sound of something massive sniffing at the door. Then silence. The lights gradually returned to normal. Nyx exhaled. And that's why we have rules, city boy. Jake realized he'd been holding his breath. You expect me to sleep here? Alone? Lyra patted his cheek. Oh, you won't be alone. The house watches. The house always watches. As they left, Jake heard Nyx mutter to Lyra. He lasted longer than the last one. The door closed. The walls hummed. And somewhere deep in the house, something whispered, "Run." Jake woke to the sound of something scratching at his window. He bolted upright, sweat cooling on his back. The glowing digits floating near his bed read 3:47 a.m. Just the wind, he told himself. Then the scratching came again, slow, deliberate, like something testing the glass. "House!" Jake whispered. "You awake?" The walls pulsed faintly in response. The window shimmered, becoming opaque. "That's not comforting," Jake muttered, swinging his legs out of bed. His bare feet touched the floor. Indeed, the surface rippled under his toes like liquid. What the? A blood-curdling scream tore through the night. Human. Close. Jake was at the window before he could think, peering through the frosted glass. Outside, in the silver grass, a figure thrashed against coils of crimson vines. The plants moved with terrifying purpose, wrapping around limbs, squeezing. Shit. Jake slammed his palm against the wall. House! Open the damn door. The entrance remained sealed. Resident safety protocols engaged, the house chimed. External threat detected. That's a person out there. The vines tightened. The figure scream cut off with a wet crack. Jake recoiled as the vines dragged the limp body into the tree lane. Only then did the front door hiss open, revealing Nyx and Lyra silhouetted against the violet moonlight. Nyx's dagger was drawn, her glowing eyes scanning the tree line. You just had to look, didn't you? Jake's hand shook. There was someone out there. A person. Lyra stepped inside, her face grim. Not anymore. Jake pointed wildly at the window. Those plants just ate him, Nyx finished. Yeah, that's what they do. Lyra placed a calming hand on Jake's shoulder. We told you not to touch the red plants. Jake jerked away. You didn't say they hunt people. Nyx shrugged. Would you have believed us? The house lights flickered. The walls emitted a low, warning hum. Lyra's head snapped up. They're agitated. The vines, they remember your scent now. Jake's blood ran cold. What does that mean? Nyx sheathed her dagger with a smirk. Means you're on the menu, Earth Boy. A distant rustling came from outside, the sound of countless tendrils sliding through grass. Lyra grabbed Jake's arm. We need to move. Now. The trio barely made it to the central chamber before the first vine slammed against the window, leaving a smear of dark fluid. Jake stared as dozens more crept along the walls. This house is supposed to protect me, right? Nyx activated a hidden panel. The walls shimmered with defensive energy. It tries. Lyra inputs a rapid sequence. The previous tenant. He made the same mistake. Jake swallowed hard. Let me guess. He touched them. Nyx's grin was all teeth. Worse. He fed them. The vines screamed against the shields, a sound like nails on glass. Jake backed away. We're trapped. Lyra's fingers flew over the controls. Not trapped, just creatively contained. Nyx tossed Jake a glowing rod. Here, if they get inside, aim for the thorns. Jake gripped the weapon. And if that doesn't work? Outside, the vines began prying at the roof. Lyra met his gaze. Run faster. The vines slithered across the ceiling like a living nightmare, their thorns screeching against the energy shields. Jake tightened his grip on the glowing rod, his knuckles white. You two have a real talent for understatement, he snapped. First it's don't touch the plants. Now it's oh by the way, don't want to wear your skin. Nyx rolled her eyes, adjusting a dial on the control panel. Relax. They're just territorial. A vine smashed through a weakened shield, spraying acidic sap across the floor. It sizzled through the metal like butter. Territorial. Jake ducked as another tendril lashed overhead. They're melting your damn house. Lyra grabbed his arm, dragging him toward a hidden passage. This way, the shields won't hold much longer. The trio sprinted down a spiraling corridor as the walls groaned behind them. The passage led to a circular chamber Jake hadn't seen before. Walls lined with glowing symbols, a massive holographic display floating at its center. Nyx slammed her palm against the console. The door sealed shut with a thud. Jake bent over, hands on his knees. Okay, enough bullshit. What the hell is really going on here? Lyra and Nyx exchange a glance. Lyra Sigit. Zenthis 5 adapts. It tests newcomers. Only the strong survive. Jake barked a laugh. So, this is some kind of alien reality show? Last man standing wins a toaster. Nyx's smirk faded. More like last man standing gets to keep breathing. The hologram flickered, displaying images of other humans. Dozens of them, arriving just like Jake had. Some lasted days, others hours, all ended the same way, screaming. Jake's stomach twisted. You lured them here, just like me. Lyra's voice softened. We don't lure, we offer. The choice was always yours. Outside, the vines shrieked, their assault intensifying. The door dented inward. Nyx cracked her knuckles. A night history lesson. Point is, you're still alive. That means something. Jake stared at the holograms, at the faces of the dead. Yeah, it means I'm next. Lyra grabbed his shoulders. No, it means you have a chance. The planet is watching you, Jake. Testing you. A thunderous boom shook the chamber. The door buckled. Nyx drew twin daggers from her boots. Showtime. The vines burst through in a spray of splinters, lashing toward them like whips. Jake raised his glowing rod. So what's the plan? Lyra's hands began to glow with blue energy. Simple. Survive. Nyx grinned. And try not to piss yourself. Then all hell broke loose. The vines attacked like a living tsunami, thorns glistening with acidic venom. Jake swung the glowing rod in a wide arc, severing 3 tendrils at once. They writhed on the floor, spewing black ichor. Okay, he panted. Either I'm hallucinating or plant biology works very different here. Nyx flipped over a lunging vine, daggers flashing. Less talking, more stabbing. Lyra unleashed a pulse of blue energy that incinerated an entire cluster. Focus. They're learning our patterns. A thick vine shot from the ceiling, wrapping around Jake's ankle. He barely had time to yell before it yanked him off his feet. Son of... Nyx's dagger whistled past his ear, severing the vine. Jake crashed to the floor, gasping. Still alive. Nyx smirked, offering a hand. Jake grabbed it. Barely. The chamber trembled as something enormous slammed against the outer wall. The holographic display flickered, showing a massive heat signature moving toward them. Lyra's eyes widened. It's the core root, the central nervous system of the colony. Jake stared at the screen. You're telling me these things have a brain? Another impact. Cracks spiderwebbed across the wall. Nyx backed toward a control panel. Time to go loud. Lyra grabbed her arm. No, the shockwave could destabilize the whole sector. Got a better idea? Nyx shot back. Jake's eyes darted between them, then to the crumbling wall. A plan, stupid, desperate, formed in his head. Lyra, can you overload that energy pulse of yours? She blinked. Theoretically, yes, but do it. Jake turned to Nyx. You got any more of those explodey toys? Nyx grinned, pulling a small orb from her belt. Oh, I like how you think. The wall shattered. A monstrous central mass of vines and thorns surged through, a writhing, pulsing horror with a gaping maw at its center. Now, Jake roared. Lyra unleashed a massive energy wave, stunning the creature. Nyx hurled the orb straight into its maw. Jake grabbed both women and dove behind a console. The explosion shook the planet. When the dust cleared, the vines lay motionless. The core root was a smoldering ruin. Nyx coughed, waving away smoke. Well, that worked. Lyra sat up, staring at Jake. That was reckless and brilliant. Jake wiped grime from his face. So, did I pass your little test? A deep, resonant hum filled the chamber. The walls glowed gold. Nyx exhaled sharply. Oh, you definitely passed. The hologram changed, displaying a single word in glowing alien script. Lyra translated, her voice awed. Worthy. Jake frowned. Worthy of what? The ground trembled again, but this time it wasn't an attack. The ceiling retracted, revealing the violet sky. A beam of light descended, bathing them in warmth. Nyx's smirk faded into something almost like respect. Worthy of the truth. Lyra took Jake's hand. Come on, it's time you saw what Zenthis 5 really is. The light swallowed them whole. The light dissolved, revealing a vast crystalline chamber stretching farther than Jake could see. Towering pillars pulsed with energy, connected by strands of golden light that shimmered like spiderwebs. At the center floated a massive, glowing orb, alive with swirling colors and whispering voices. Jake's breath caught. What is this? Lyra stepped forward, her silver hair floating as if underwater. The heart of Zenthis 5, the consciousness that chose you. Nyx crossed her arms, her usual smirk replaced by solemnity. Told you we weren't just roommates. The orb pulsed, and suddenly Jake understood, not with words, but with raw sensation. Images flooded his mind. A dying planet, a desperate experiment, a sentient world built to test species, to find those worthy of preserving life itself. Jake staggered. You're gardeners. Lira nodded. We cultivate the strong, the adaptable, those who can survive what's coming. A new image seared into Jake's mind, a shadow swallowing galaxies, an endless hunger approaching. Nyx's voice turned grim. The universe has a reset button, Jake, and it's coming whether we're ready or not. The orb dimmed. The connection severed. Jake felt his knees gasping. So what now? I get a medal and a pat on the back. Lyra helped him up, her touch electric. Now you choose. Stay and help prepare, or take your reward and leave. Nyx jerked a thumb at the glowing portal behind them. That one goes back to Earth, minus the memories, of course. Jake stared at the portal, then at the orb. How many have you brought here? Thousands, Lyra admitted. Only 7 have reached this chamber. Nyx grinned. You're the first who didn't piss himself at the vines. The weight of it all settled on Jake's shoulders. He thought of Earth, of traffic jams and bills, and a life that suddenly felt impossibly small. He turned to the orb. If I stay, what exactly am I signing up for? The orb pulsed. Lyra translated. To become more. To fight when the time comes. To be ready. Nyx clapped him on the back. Also, you get to keep the house. And us. She winked. Perks of the job. Jake exhaled, running a hand through his hair. Then he laughed. A raw, real sound that echoed through the chamber. Guess I'm redecorating the place, then. Lyra's eyes shimmered. You're staying? Jake looked at the portal one last time, then crushed it with a stomp. The shards dissolved into light. Someone's got to keep you two out of trouble. The orb flared, bathing them in golden light. The chamber shook as new energy surged through the pillars. Nyx hooped, punching the air. Now, that's what I call a recruitment. Lyra leaned into Jake, her voice barely a whisper. Welcome to the end of the world, Jake Mercer. Outside, the twin moons burned brighter than ever. Somewhere in the void, something ancient stirred. And Zenthis, 5 prepared for war. And that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and, as always, keep the last light burning.